tell you what, yeah, okay.
As we get started, if you will, we're gonna start with prayer, and we're gonna ask, Reverend Scotty Mathis to lead us in that, invocation.
Let's all stand. Let's go, Lord, in prayer. Dear Lord, we're just so thankful for all the many blessings you give us each and every day, God. We're thankful for this community that we're all so blessed to be a part of and to live in, God. And we just pray for this meeting today, God. I pray for each of our leaders that you'll be with them and just give them the wisdom and the discernment as they seek to make this decision, God, that will do what's best for our county and just all of our citizens, God. Again, we just thank you for all that you do for us each day, God. Just help each of us to seek to serve you more in this new year and just to live for you, God, and just forgive us where we failed you. And we pray all these things in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, all. You may be seated. What we're going to do now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call each of our meetings to order. This is under new business, the intent to opt out of homestead exemption, which is House Bill 581. I'll make a motion to start the meeting. Ask for a second.
Second.
All in favor? Board of Education.
This time, I'd like to call our Fannin County Board of Education order, and it's with the intent to opt out of homestead exemption, House Bill 581.
City of Blue Ridge, which would be, do we have a quorum? City of Decatur.
This time, we'd like to call the meeting open for the city of McCaysville with the intent to opt out of homestead exemption, House Bill 581. I need a motion.
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
City of Morgan.
City of Morganton to order, comments on House Bill 581. Get a motion?
I motion.
Second?
All right, so now we'll call Ms. Cochran, if you would, and make your presentation, then we'll get into the public commentary aspect of this.
I want to welcome everybody here this morning. I appreciate seeing such a good turnout. As they said, I'm Dawn Cochran. I'm the Chief Appraiser of the Tax Assessor's Office here for Fannin County. I'll start my presentation with thanking Blake Ellsbury. He shared a couple of his House Bill 581 slides with me, and I'm using a few of those for this meeting. I want to start out with what many people may not know about Fannin County, because we found in the discussion of 581 that there's a lot of things that Fannin County has to offer that maybe not everybody knows about. And so I want to start this meeting by explaining just a few of those. Fannin County currently has 8 different levels of local homestead freezes. These exemptions date all the way back to 1999 and was modified and added to in 2004. These are in addition to our state exemptions. So an example of how our current exemptions work: if you have a property that is valued at $100,000 and we increase that due to market changes the next year to maybe $110,000, the exemption that you have in Fannin County will float that $10,000 market increase, and our taxpayers still pay on the original base of $100,000. Now, our local exemption set up currently for a house and up to 10 acres. So the exemption will cover, that and nothing more than that. So it's not always a complete washout. On the county portion of our local exemption freeze, there is no age limit and there is no income limit. On the school portion, the schools see these exemptions when our taxpayers qualify at age 70 plus, and there is income limits set for those. Currently, our cities do not have any local freeze exemption, and our local exemptions have no rate of inflation. Here is a review of our millage rate here for Fannin County, just to kind of see what the history looks like. If you take a look, the total millage rate for the county and school and state. We did used to have a state mill rate, but that's been phased out. So our current, or 2014, we were looking at, a 17.7 millage rate. But back in 2006, it was as high as 20.169. We've been able to, over the years, with value increases due to market and the elected officials taking a look at budgets and taking a look and seeing if mill rate rollbacks can happen. And those mill rates have rolled back from 12.9 in 2014 for the school down to 6.7 for 2014, or 2024, I'm sorry. And then for the county, it's rolled back from 4.794 down to 2.465. So our total mill rate right now for the county of 2024, I'm sorry, is 9.165. Here is a look at 2023's millage rates. I gathered these for Fannin, Gilmer, Union, and Pickens towns, and you can see that Fannin is the lowest on the school and, well, not the school, for towns. Towns is a little lower, but for the county for sure. And in comparison to our surrounding counties, Fannin's mill rate is relatively low. Fannin County's 2024 mill rate is sitting at 2.465 for the county and 6.7 for the school. Here's a few other factors to take into consideration. Fannin County currently has 29,598 parcels of real property. Our digest is broken out. We have 82% of our digest is residential. So when you're talking about House Bill 581 and how it's kind of set up to shift that tax burden to other types of property, we really don't have that option here because our industrial and our commercial is not our majority. Instead, in Fannin County, it is on the residential. And then before ever even talking about House Bill 581, I had to discuss House Bill 808 with the elected officials, because 808 was one of those questions we voted on when we went to the polls, and that said, on personal property, would you like to see the 7,500 threshold actually increase to 20,000? And that's for items like your boats, your aircraft, your businesses, personal property things. So when that voted in, and our taxable value now came up to $20,000 for 2025 digest year, based off 24's values, the difference from 7,500 to 20,000 means a loss of $12 million revenue, or $12 million value. And when we take that down to the tax amount, for the school, it's $82,420. I'm sorry. And for the county, it's $30,323. So before we ever even consider the changes of House Bill 581, we've had a pretty good reduction in our budget. House Bill 581, to explain what it actually is and the intent for it. This bill took place January 1st, 2025. It implements a floating homestead exemption for all local governments. So if we don't opt out, currently the cities, the county, and the school are automatically into this local exemption given by the state. A floating homestead is a type of homestead exemption that's designed to offset inflationary increases in value. It works by increasing the value of the exemption to offset inflation. This requires the taxpayers to vote for or against a 1% FLOST, which is a floating local option sales tax. If it passes, that additional revenue can be used for property tax relief to help roll back our millage rates. If that election fails, no one really knows what happens at that point. The earliest the election can be held for this is likely November of 2025. This will cost the taxpayers approximately $38,000 to $40,000 each time we hold one of these. The soonest that we'll see a return on the FLOST is looking like 26, but more 27 now. This will be voted on every 5 years to maintain that sales tax increase coming in to help offset the millage rate. House Bill 581 for first home buyers or first time receiving your exemption for 2025. The base year will be your assessed value that was set back in 2024. That value will be reset if the house is sold or if there's substantial changes. So to explain that, if you have that house for 5 years but you sell it, you lose all of your equity, let's say, that you build up by holding it as values increased. The next person buying it starts all over at the value of the property for the year they bought it. The floating homestead exemption in House Bill 581 is in addition to, but not to take place of, our existing homestead exemptions. For communities with existing local floating exemptions, freezes, the taxpayer will receive whichever of the two is more beneficial to the taxpayer. This includes any local floating homestead exemptions that are added in the future. House Bill 581 homestead exemption, an example of how it will work for us. So if we had that same $100,000 property and the Department State Revenue Commissioner gave us, let's say, a 2% increase. They're calling that a CPI right now. And if that CPI is placed on the value for that year, and I actually increase the value, like we said, up to $110,000, that exemption would be worth $8,000, and our taxpayers would pay on $102,000 the second year instead of $100,000, which is how ours is set up right now. Tax burdens don't shift or don't disappear, they shift. In Fannin County, we do not have many commercial and industrial properties to shift the burden to. We have majority residential properties, so if we cap values or increase exemptions, one of the things will take place. Budget cuts, mill rate increases from school, county, and cities, or a combination of the two. With this bill, there's so many unknowns. Because of the unknowns currently and in the future, this House bill needs some very careful consideration due to the long-term effects. Some of those that are unknown right now are how much will the homestead exemption take off our digest now and 20 years from now? How much income, if the FLOST passes, will it bring into our county? Will the FLOST even pass here in Fannin County? How much will we have to increase mill rate to offset the differences? Did the voters fully understand what they were voting on? Do the voters know what Fannin County currently has to offer? And what will the cost increase be for goods and services with all these other changes going on? Some of the knowns are, with one of the lowest millage rate in the state of Georgia, the history of Fannin County shows that the taxation system is working well. I personally contribute that to property being assessed at market value, efficient collection of our taxes, elected officials rolling back millage rates when they can, and a complicated balance of what property taxes and multiple local option sales tax bring in. Fannin County has been blessed with a history of men and women making decisions that are in the best interest of the county, whether it be short or long term. And that's why we are here today.
Thank you very much. Lights back there.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you very much. So what we'd like to do now, folks, is, we would like to open it up to, for public commentary. We do have a 3-minute timer today. If you feel that at the end of this, if we hadn't got it all said in 3 minutes, we can come back up and finish with another 3 minutes, if that's what you like. We want to hear from as many people as possible, because we do feel that this affects a lot of folks here in Fannin County, one way or another. So we want to try to hear from as many people as possible. So, if you want to come up and speak, come up and tell us your name, and we'll start the timer at that time. So, anybody want to come up first?
Hi, my name is Victor Orsolitz. Just a quick question. I read the House bill rule, and it says that you have to have the 3 meetings, correct? And so, is that the only obligation that Fannin County has, is to have the 3 meetings? That's the question.
Yes, that is one of theirs that we have these 3.
So, and the other question is if the people still disagree and would like to go with what they voted for, can Fannin County continue with just the 3 meetings and say, well, regardless of what the people say, we're still gonna do it?
This was our whole intent, was to have 3 meetings to hear one way or another, to make sure that everybody understood exactly what they voted on, because as we've heard since our last meeting, there were several people that didn't understand everything that was put on there. So that's the reason why we're having these meetings.
I understand that, but my question is, if in fact the people don't want this to go through, they want it to keep it just as they voted for, can Fannin County still opt out?
Yes.
So the meetings are a formality regardless of what the people say.
The meetings are a formality. And if we choose to opt out, we have to have these meetings. At the end of this, if the overwhelming majority of the county still want to move forward with this, that's where we have to make decisions. Yes.
So it's basically a formality, regardless of what the people say, you can still do what you want. That's what we're.
We try to do what's best for Fannin County. That's
I
correct.
understand,
Yes,
but
sir.
that is, I want
That's
everyone
what
to
you elected
understand.
us to do. Yes.
I want everybody to understand that these meetings are basically a formality. Regardless of what the people want, the county can still opt out.
But Vic, this bill also has an exit, if you wanna look at it that way. So, in other words, if it's not working for you, or if it's that great, and it's supposed to solve all problems, why did they give you an exit out of it? Because Don just explained a while ago, what the county and what the commissioners before us and all the other leaders before us had already set up for the people. So why would we not think about and let the people know that here's something that they're trying to tell you to accept, but it has an exit.
And I understand that completely. you know, and that,
And I've never seen one that said forever.
right.
There's a forever clause in there too, I guess. If you accept it, you're in it forever. There's
No, we know what
coming back.
forever means, that means we'll change it next week.
No,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, that's just the way government is. But my point, I wanna make it absolutely clear, that the public really has no say in this. They have an opinion, but at the end of the day, the county can do exactly what they want.
the county will do, let me tell you, I understand what you're saying on that. I'm gonna do what I think's best in my heart for the people.
Exactly, which
So,
all counties.
and I'm glad they give me that option, but then again, if it was so great, why didn't you just make it law? That way we wouldn't be here.
808 passed it. I mean, there was no opt-out of 808.
Yeah,
So here come 581 just along with it. Well, hang on a minute, there's an opt-out clause. So that's what I'm saying. If it was a one-size-fits-all,
would
why
they
didn't they
have,
just say, hey, this is what we're gonna do? We voted on it, overwhelming majority passed. Here it is.
And even in your presentation that you put forth, let me get out of that. The point is that it appears that you don't know what this will do, right? That's the problem, right, with the budget. You really don't know.
State doesn't either.
and so you're asking us to take a gamble on something that's working?
Well, I'm not asking anything, I'm just gathering information.
Yeah.
I know, I mean, but that's what they're asking us to do, to make that decision. And these people here, including ourselves, everybody right here has to make that hard decision for its people. So do we take what we know works for something that we have no idea if it's going, I mean, she just showed you there, we got to vote for another tax.
Sure.
People don't like voting for taxes. I mean, you know, especially me.
So what you're saying, they're gonna get it, we're gonna have to adjust it one way or the other. Either raise it 1%.
I believe Dawn said that Mary Ann asked a question last meeting night on her property. She said, if I come to you and this is gonna work better for me than what we have now, I think Dawn said it would automatically do that, correct? So, on that part, I think it's a win-win for everybody, but forcing us to take something and do away with what we do and what everybody before us put together that's been working, that's a hard decision to make right there, I mean.
Okay, well, you answered my question, so.
But we're supposed to do this by law to do this. We have to do
Right,
this.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, this gentleman, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Dave Rurick, I just have a clarification question. Many counties give an exemption to school taxes for those of us that are over 65 or 70. I know that Fannin has one if you're over 70. Can you clarify, or someone clarify, what those income limitations are?
Sure, my apologies, sir. What was your name again?
Dave Rurick.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, we have 8 different levels. So we have just any age and any income can sign in and get what we call a S1. And then we have 62 and older with 2 income brackets, 65 and older with 2 income brackets, and 70 and older with 2 income brackets. That's just exclusively to Fannin's local exemption.
Mr. Thomas?
If I could, I'm going to remove the microphone because I want to talk to people. I want to talk to you guys and to the people out here. My name is Charles Donaldson, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to volunteer for the election office back there on this floor. I've done it for 10 years, since I retired from the military. And it's been very interesting. I enjoy doing it. One of the things that we saw with this last election, and this is going to address what you're talking about, is it passed, and it did pass. It passed by a large majority. But people ask, what does this mean? Well, I'm not allowed to tell them what it means. I have to stand back there and operate the machines, make sure that they don't make a mistake, make sure they print their ballot, make sure the ballot gets in the box, and make sure that they're happy with their vote. I'm not allowed to explain it. If I explain it, if I attempt to explain it, I may use words that will imply a certain direction for them to vote. That's already been taken care of. If you remember how the question was worded, it was worded so that you would press yes.
Yes.
And it got the yes that it wanted. The people who worded the question were trying to get. So many people turn around and ask me, what does this mean? I don't understand this. Can you explain it to me? I was not allowed to explain. They voted anyway. The only thing I was allowed to say was, ma'am, sir, you have an option to vote yes, you have an option to vote no, or you can bypass it. And that's what happened. People voted yes, even though they did not understand what the question was asking.
That's a good point, but we can't assume people are stupid.
No, I don't think you can say they're stupid, it's
We can't
just,
assume that.
Yeah.
I voted stupidly, because I didn't know what it was.
I have another point, but I know that I'm running out of time here. I'll bring this up. But this bill was studied by an organization who studies bills all across the United States. And I'm running out of time here.
Okay, you're good. Go ahead and finish.
If I can, if you'll give me a second, I brought their report. Would you?
Yes.
There's a foundation that sponsors people to read their attorneys and evaluate bills that appear on ballots all around the country. And that foundation, they are the taxfoundation.com. You can look them up. And they evaluated Georgia's ballot, how things were laid out, how the names were placed on there, questions that were asked. And their note for amendment number 1 reaches far beyond the mere ballot question by triggering the implementation of House Bill 581. It would change Georgia's property tax system dramatically, modeling it after harmful assessment limit policies that began in California. To the extent that localities were unable or chose not to opt out. That if localities were unable or chose not to opt out, they would be required to adopt a harmful property tax structure that disincentivizes new entrants into the housing market and keeps the real estate market more stagnant than it would be otherwise. Georgia residents can do better than Amendment 1 and should focus on policies that restrict the overall growth of property taxes, not policies that functionally freeze property taxes for current owners by shifting costs to new owners and to this sales tax. So that was their analysis of that Amendment 1. Right? Wrong? I don't know. But that was their analysis. So.
Thanks, sir. Yes, sir.
Be real short. My name is Richard Johnson, Fannin County. I've lived in a couple states, and it seems to me that one thing in all state legislatures is to write stuff, so it's confusing. Somebody wants a certain outcome, They make the law so confusing, you don't know what you're voting for. So I just wanted to say, if you voted for it, you're not stupid, okay? Because the way they write these things. And this was one I had a lot of trouble with. I talked to a lot of people, I ended up voting no, but I talked to a lot of folks before I figured it out. And to me, it was almost purposely confusing. So I just wanted to say, I'm also a poll worker, and a lot of people asked about this. Charlie's right, you can't tell people what it means or what it says. Keep your opinion to yourself. But I don't want anybody feeling you're stupid if you voted for it, because I think you got played. That's it.
Anyone else?
It's true, yeah, that's what every state ever lived in.
Good morning, my name's Kathleen Ramirez. I voted for this, and I'm with that gentleman and probably half the people in this room. I really don't know what I voted for. Victor and I have owned property here for 40-plus years. Simple yes or no. How much are our property taxes going to go up? For us people that aren't lawyers or legislators, what's the simple answer? Is it going up 1%, 2%? Is there a ceiling on it? I mean, we read all these beautiful words. I'm a college graduate, but I still can't figure out how much my property tax is going up. Does anybody have a percentage?
That's the unknown.
Rate of inflation, whatever the rate of inflation is.
On what percentage?
But there again, that's.
That's still, that is to be determined.
The state says the CPI, yeah?
They're saying it's the CPI, but then they've also gave us some information recently this week in an email that I sent to you guys that says that instead of it starting in 25, it looks like the 24 value would be the 25 value, and then the rate of inflation would start for 26. So it's still changing. And you know, we looked at tax dollar increase. We've had 6 and 5% tax dollar increases. It all depends on if the county does in fact vote in the FLOST, how much money comes in on that. Of course, that's a year to 2 years behind.
So, excuse me, you're asking us to agree on something that we have no idea what we're agreeing on. Now, how is that fair?
Not me.
Oh, no,
Not me.
Whoever's in charge,
Not me.
whoever you are,
Yeah.
you're literally asking your citizens to vote yes for something they don't know.
And that's the concern that they have.
So when do we say, hey, we changed our mind, we really want to know what we're voting on? Because I really now want to know what I'm voting on. After 40 years, I think I am entitled to know as a citizen of this county.
I would like to know too.
Well, how will we find out?
I've not been able to.
Well, somebody's got to be in charge.
It's not me.
Well, who's in charge? There's a chain of command.
I agree.
The governor? The senator?
I've always voted no on bills like that. I mean, just because I'm not, you know, attorneys make those, they write those, and it's hard to understand their language sometimes.
Well, seeing the frustration in this room, don't you think we're entitled to a referendum that we get a second bite at this apple? Because I really want to know what I voted for now.
That's why they put that option in there,
Well, I
because they
would,
didn't know.
I would
It's not big, it's not
I
big
agree with
swing
you
for
100%.
So where is this option at? When can I exercise this option, or was it when I voted?
That's what we're.
it was
here
when we
today.
voted.
Oh, so it's done.
I think so. Now, the, Mr. Chastain did tell us that they were going back to legislation, and that was gonna be the first things at hand was revision of House Bill 581. But I don't know what those revisions are. And if they'll have them done before we actually have to opt out, because we have a hard date of March 1st to opt out.
Which is just right around the corner.
Right.
So how do the citizens say, we want a second bite of this apple?
Talk to us.
Okay?
We'll go
I
to-
mean, I'm gonna ask the
They
people
talk
in this
to that.
room, do you want a second bite of that apple? Do you really find out how much your taxes are going up, or you just wanna live in the blind?
Opt out.
I wanna know.
Opt out.
I would like for them to opt out.
Opt out.
We did not-
Can we vote on that?
But,
That's why we're here today.
And when is the final count? Because I know all our citizens aren't here.
I mean,
That's why we're
meetings.
The intentions of these meetings, from my understanding, was to hold the meetings as required, so we could opt out if we needed to. But the only real reason that they're holding this and not just going ahead and staying in is because of the uncertainty and how many people are saying the same thing you're saying.
Okay,
So they wanted to hear from you guys. That's what this is about, and they're listening.
thank you for that. I think this is the gentleman from our local paper. I think we need to publicize this. I think I mean, I would not have known about it. Sorry, I don't read the paper all the time. But I didn't know about it because other members of my family do. I think we need to get this, I think we need the pulse of Fannin County. I think we need the people. And let's try and remember, we need to keep it Fannin County and Blue Ridge. We don't want to be LA. I don't want to stop. No, or Atlanta. So I think we should have an opt-out meeting, a sincere one where we get the majority of people here and try and structure a better exit plan. And I thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
Nathaniel Ferguson, a lifelong resident of Blue Ridge, Georgia, and I believe we should opt out as a county on this. I think we need to keep the power as local as we can. We don't give the government, state government or federal government anything more. We keep it as local as we can. We talk about if 581 comes in, if it's based on, the going inflation, I just say an average of 7. If the lady wanted to know where this came from, if you want to call and talk to Kemp's office, they won't tell you, but, Governor Kemp goes off to Davos, to the big meeting in Davos. What did they come up with over there? Where did this bill come from? Whose brainchild was it? I have a lot of questions.
What's behind it?
Absolutely, what's behind it? And if we, and like Johnny said, if it's a forever thing, if it's gonna be there forever and it's so great, we'll opt in later. But I say for now, opt in, keep the power right here with the people.
Amen.
Opt out. Did I say opt out? Opt out.
Hi, my name is Kim Berger, and I serve on the election board. I work with Mr. Donaldson, one of our best volunteers.
Amen.
And I am a lawyer, and I read this bill early on, and I was utterly confused. It was written as a constitutional amendment, and it was definitely geared for people to vote for it. And yet I saw almost no analysis coming from the legislature, and very little in the local and state papers. It's like they proposed a constitutional amendment and didn't really delve into what it would mean, and that's very, very concerning. So I voted no, but I couldn't discuss it with voters, as Mr. Donaldson was saying. We discussed it with our friends, most of whom voted no. Again, when we as a community need to really look at this legislation that's proposed, and constitutional amendments are very, well, if you don't opt out, you're stuck with it. They are very significant and important. So we as consumers, we as voters, really need to do a better job in the future. But I do hope we opt out here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Julian, it's your turn.
But I'll say it again, Julian Black, I'll say it again, I don't think you have the right to opt out of something that the House of Representatives voted on unanimously, the House of Senate voted on unanimously, the state, 62% voted for this, 66% of the county voted for this, I voted for this. It don't take a lot of brain power to understand that this homestead exemption thing is for senior citizens on a fixed income. They have to save their home from getting taken by taxes. It's as simple as that. And I think y'all wanna go against the will of the people and do as you please. And I say, shame on you.
Anyone else?
clerk, long life citizen. They have the right to vote any way they want to, but they are listening to the people right here. And from my little corner, I say most of y'all are wanting to opt out.
Right. Here, here.
That's all I got to say.
By the way, that's a good looking beard.
I don't speak well, but I'm gonna speak common sense best I can here. The way I see it, if you wanna help senior citizens and stuff, then why don't you regulate their prescription costs and stuff? I guarantee you that'll save them some money. What we're talking about here might save a senior citizen, somebody on a fixed income, $150 a year, you know, because we already got good exemptions in this county. But if you do some other things to help them, you might save them $150 a month. That's a huge deal, maybe on some prescription costs and regulate some of that. So it ain't a big help there compared to some other things. I just wanted to bring some things forward that maybe people haven't thought about. Because I got to thinking on this after the last meeting, and I spoke without my stuff in front of me, but we got, as Georgians, fuel taxes, 33.25 cents on every gallon that we buy. We got income tax, we got self-employment tax, we got corporate taxes, we got capital gains taxes, personal property taxes on our boats, planes, anything that we got there. We got motor vehicle tax, tobacco tax, alcohol tax, VAT taxes, 18%, heavy highway use taxes on heavy commercial vehicles. This is just a handful of the things that I said over there and thought off the top of my mind, and I'm sure the list goes on. We're taxed to death. I agree with that. And that's why originally I said, if we can save taxes, we need to save taxes. I don't like taxes more than anybody in this county. But, having that said, it's funny to me that our officials wanna help us now. And they're reaching in our pocket 20 different ways, around behind us to get money out of our back pocket. It's funny to me that now they want to help us, and the way they want to help us is with the only tax that does not affect their budget, which is our property taxes in our local government. That's how we run that's how we run our cities, that's how we run our counties, that's how we run everything locally. And now they want to control that. If you wanted to help us, why don't you knock 10 cents a gallon off of our fuel? Why don't you knock some of our income taxes down? If you want to help me, don't use the only thing that don't affect your budget and come in here and try to control the only thing that allows us to budget and run our county and our local government. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if anybody's thought about that. The next thing I want to say is, why is this? Why did this get put into place? I mean, what is the why? Why are they doing this? Is it to help Georgians? Like I said, if you want to help Georgians, you got 20 different ways you can help me. And that ain't coming in here getting some control of my local budget that I need to run the school system to give opportunities to our future, our kids and stuff. You're gonna take that away from me. My kids, I'm speaking as a citizen, you're gonna take opportunities away from my kids with something that don't affect you. Why don't you budget a little bit better and work on these other 20 or 30 things that you're taxing on? They got at least 20 streams of income to run the state of Georgia. And they're wanting put a little control on the only thing that we got. I don't like that. I'll just go ahead and tell you. Let's see, I don't want to lose anything here. This is just the thoughts I had sitting over there. Do we trust folks that are reaching in our pocket 20 different ways, and now they're trying to say that they're trying to help us? Like I said, the only things don't affect them. And what are we getting out of this deal? We don't fucking know. We don't know what we're getting out of it. I know they're getting some control. I do know that, but I don't think it's saving us much money. And I think that's pretty well it. I don't like it. I voted for it, like I said, because I said, dang, man, I'm getting taxed on any property I got, I'm getting taxed every time I turn around, and that, all of that list there. So I said, heck yeah, even when I first come in to the school board, I said, hey, we gotta do this, man. When you can come in and save people taxes, we're getting taxed to death, we need to do it. But you need to have a drawn out, I say like everybody else said, and I back that up, you need to have a drawn out, definite, this is how it's gonna look. I'll guarantee you, if they said, hey, we're gonna control some of these things we're taxing you on, and we're gonna make a House bill on it, I'll guarantee you, if it affected their budget to run the state of Georgia, it would be spelled out, line by line, exactly what it's gonna look like. Because they wanna know where their money's going.
Exactly.
And it would have been line by line, guaranteed, this percent, this off of this off of that, and here's what it's all gonna look like, here's what it's gonna save everybody, and you would have got a full picture of it. But we ain't getting that on this, and I don't like it.
Amen.
Robert, that's a really good, that's a really good question. Our phones have been ringing off the hook since the last meeting and since Glenn's articles and stuff in the tax assessor's office, and that's one of the most asked questions. What caused this to go into effect and why? And my answer to that is Steve Gooch said the reason that they started this bill was because that counties, cities, schools all over the state of Georgia were taking these increases that was coming from the tax assessor's office and not rolling back millage rates. And they were misusing money. And he said that in order to try to prevent that from happening, they started House Bill 581 to get a little control over that, because it'll be a forced rollback if you do have enough sales tax coming in from the flossed. But in counties like Fannin County, where we already are like the third lowest in the state of Georgia for our millage rates, we were doing what we were expected to do. And he even did mention Fannin County. And he said, I want to thank them out of my district for the 7 different counties that I'm over. Fannin County's doing it right.
Exactly.
And when you go to messing with something that's already working for something that may or may not work, we're not saying that the flossed won't work here. But we may not get the flossed and get the exemptions on top of that. Then what?
There again, it's a one size fits all, and the shoe don't fit for us.
That's exactly what he said. He said they made this vote, they made this amendment change for majority of Georgia. But it is not a one size fits all. And if it's not a one size fits all, what we have going on here with better exemptions, lower millage rates, that's the ones that are gonna see the difference, because the taxpayers are gonna be misled. They think they voted for an exemption, they're expecting an exemption, and they're gonna get a shift of the burden over to someone else raising millage rates that never asked to have to do that to the taxpayers.
I have a question while you're on the floor, Don, and you're on the floor. So like, for example, with the floss, you say we may not get it. So we pay X amount in school taxes. Can you tell me that every dollar that Fannin County spends on school taxes comes back to Fannin County? No, it does not.
No, and another thing that you're gonna deal with is the floss has to be broken up between an intergovernment agreement. The school cannot even get that, so they lose value with no money coming back in.
And another thing, Dawn, if I may.
Yes.
I think, Mr. Ferguson, one thing you're looking at is for the equalization, another thing that is not defined yet is that, so far they're thinking that our, equalization will be based on the taxable amount prior to the exemption, so it's an exponential loss for, local revenue for school systems.
Right, and that's what I say, if we got, if the state was gonna give us the floss guaranteed and we were guaranteed to get X amount of dollars back into the county, fine, but the state's gonna put that money elsewhere, they always forget about us.
Well, what happens is there'll be an intergovernment agreement, and the cities get a portion, the county gets a portion, and we don't know what that portion is. You have no guarantee of what's gonna come in. What if things kind of die down for Fannin County's values? What about if they die down for people coming in here in our tourism that we've got going on? We're not guaranteed $7 million to go into the pot and say $7 million rolls back your millage rate. Well, let's say they roll back the millage rate 1%, budgets increase, all those vehicles and stuff, they're going up, you're gonna have to pay your employees. As their line item on their checkbook goes up, but mine doesn't, because I'm capped, what's gonna happen? You know what's gonna happen. Mill rates are gonna go up. And if you're in the city, you're gonna get hit two different ways.
For some reason, they rushed this in, and there was no education on it. Didn't get to educate the public. It made it sound good. And now this is our opportunity to educate the public. I'd be willing to pay for the revote after we can educate the public and pay for a flipping revote. Let's see what happens.
There's not even a program set for their office to operate from yet.
Other counties can run numbers based off last year. If they don't have a local exemption, they can say, hey, let's say 3% of what our exemptions were last year, we got to take off 3% because they rolled it back 3%. They can do that. We can't do that because our local overrides anything that would come along with this. And all those numbers are guesstimates of future numbers. Not only are those values guesstimates, those percent increases are guesstimates. Budgets are guesstimates. Cost of spending, cost of increases is guesstimate. It's too many ifs, in my opinion.
As soon as I walked in the door, getting voted into office, I gotta deal with this. So I wanna say thank you for all your votes, but at the same time, man, look what we walked into, you know what I'm saying? So at the same
Hey,
time, I
join
wanna
the
say
crowd.
that,
Join the crowd, big dog.
you know,
If you'd have lost by 5 votes, you'd have lost, right?
well, I'll say this, I'll shake your hand
If you'd
and
have lost
say,
by 5 votes, you'd have lost.
I would have.
Right.
I commend y'all for what you're saying, because I feel the same way. I just feel like I've been voodoo here. You know what I'm saying? But I see where you're coming from.
Look, it's easy to brag about Fannin County's mill rate being so low, and you're breaking down the mill rate, right? Boy, y'all so tickled to death about that. But in the meantime, in 2 years, my property values have doubled, $155,000. So you can drop the mill rate down, you can drop it down to 6, and keep on making our property worth more money. That's what's happening here. You cooking the books.
No, wait a minute.
Now, that's a fact.
No, it ain't a
That is a
fact.
fact.
No, the problem that you got is that you don't understand you tell her what the state makes us
The public don't
do.
understand. Again, the public don't understand.
I didn't say the public, I said you.
I know, I'll call the public.
We don't assess your properties, pal. The damn state makes us do our job. So I'm
Right.
sorry that you wanna blame me or somebody else, but you need to find out the facts
When bragging
first.
about how the mill rate's going down.
Yeah, we keep it down because we have to keep the people happy.
Do you know what your taxes would be
Well,
if
you
they
too, man.
What is so wrong with just
Sir.
saying it won't take more
Sir,
than a seat?
do you know what your taxes would be if the millage rate had not rolled back? That was what I asked you to come and let's talk about it so I could show
Property
you.
values went through the roof.
Yes,
So
it
we're gonna
did.
roll the mill rate down.
It did, your values did go up just like ours, but if they had not rolled back the millage rate, you would really see a difference out of your pocket. And what we're trying to explain to you is, those people who were not rolling back mill rate and taking free money, which came from Steve Gooch, that's the ones that's created this situation. Don't penalize the ones who are doing what they think's best for you guys, even though, yes, values have gone up astronomically. I've never said that's not the case. But had they not rolled back millage rates, it would be even more of an impact for us. All of us, not just younger people, older people, everybody.
Well, after listening to everybody and understanding exactly what we're doing here, it appears to me that you're doing the right thing. And I think that the vast majority of people want to opt out. The problem, I guess, is again, people understanding it and understanding what they're voting for and understanding the process. That's the hard part. You know, one person may say this or they understand this, but I think you did a fantastic job breaking it all down so it's clear as hell, is showing our millage rate opposed to other millage rates. You know, I I've lived all over the country in a lot of different states. And I can clearly tell you, I've never paid taxes this low, ever. So, as long as we're doing the right thing, for the right reasons, for the people, that's the main thing. Now, I don't like the process, I don't like how they set it up, but that's here nor there, that's what the process is. But it appears you're doing the right thing. And I think what is important, and I hope maybe the newspaper can synthesize this and summarize it, so that the people know in the county what you're doing and why you're doing it. I think that's the process, and that's how it works out. I think you're in good shape, but that's what it is. It's just putting it all together so the people understand it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dawn, I wanted to ask you a question about the values did go up, you know, some didn't, some did. Does the state though, when y'all go up, like on a house, it may go up $50,000, the value of it. Does the state, do y'all base that off of what the state says?
So the Department of Revenue judges and the Department of Audits based off of how close we are to market. So if you have a piece of property that sells for $300,000 and I only have it on at $150,000, my ratio is not going to be in line. The closer to what it sells for, the more the ratio is in line. And they set a guideline for us in our office that we can be 36 to 44, with 40 being perfect. So the lower our values are, the less likely, or the higher, if we're too high, the less likely we are to get a digest pass because our ratio is not in line. We get penalized, you know, you get fines, you can be fined $80,000 or more. There's all kinds of things that come along with that that has nothing to do with tax dollars. And also, Shannon can explain a little bit, because if I fall out of line, then they lose funding for the school for me not being in line. So there's all kinds of things that drives keeping market value at market.
Well, I was just, because this gentleman said his went up a couple times, I just wanted to get the point out that y'all go by what the state.
Yeah, we have
don't
laws
just
to
go out there
follow.
and just, you know, so what you think,
No.
you'll go
Yeah.
by the state guidelines.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Again,
yeah.
the same people that's doing this, that use the guidelines to.
Yeah.
Anyone else? We'll bring this meeting to a close. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming today and voicing your concerns and opinions. It is great for us to hear pros and cons for everything. This is a huge deal for this county. And I've talked to several people, and I think there hasn't been anything like this thrown at us in many, many years. And I just feel that for the Board of Commissioners, I'm only going to speak for us, but I think I share this with everybody. Something this big should not be pushed through like it's been pushed through. That's how I feel about it. It's an amendment to the Constitution of the state of Georgia. And something that is pushed through that fast. Sometimes you have to pull in the reins and look at the pros and cons. And like I said, I think I said this last time, my dad always said, listen, already full of wisdom, and I just wasn't there to listen to him. Didn't want to. I knew everything myself. I said, son, simplest thing you can do, get you a piece of paper, weigh the pros and cons out. If the pros outweigh the cons, there's your answer. If the cons outweigh the pros, there's your answer. If they're even, you're gonna have to make a decision. And that's based on your heart. It's exactly what we're doing right here. Everything that we do, we have Fannin County, the best interest in mind moving forward. That's what we have. And if you believe that, great, and if you don't believe that, well, that's on me for not getting to you in time. But yes, please.
I want to apologize if I got a little bit loud. I just, but that's just me, man. Sometimes I get that way when you get under my skin. But I want to tell you something, man. I'm up here to fight for Fannin County, and and I'm gonna do that, and people that know me, that's just how I am. That's how I was raised. My mama was like that. She screamed at me when I was in the wrong, so I guess I'm just carrying on her way. But, you know, if anybody could do away with their taxes, oh, Johnny, if you know me, I hate paying taxes. But I know we have to have them, like Robert said, to survive. And that millage rate there is, correct me if I'm wrong, that thing can go all the way up to what, is it 20 is our limit? And it's amazing, I'm getting educated just being in this place, but, you know, it's one of the lowest. And that's what we have to play with to lower to keep the taxes down. And so does the school board, so, and the cities. But, I just want to apologize if I got a little bit loud and out of hand right there, but, you know, I'm going to stand my ground. I mean, that's the way I was raised.
So, school board members, Ms. Diller, y'all have anything
No,
you'd like to say?
we're gonna close.
Okay. Yeah. City engagement, y'all have anything?
Need a motion to close. Second.
Yeah. You guys close, that's fine, go ahead. You guys close? Go ahead.
At this time, I'm gonna call our school board meeting to a close concerning House Bill 581. I take a motion. Okay, all in favor, raise hand.
City Morgan. I'll make a motion, we close this meeting, ask for a second. All in favor? All right. Thank everybody for coming, try to stay warm, be safe. Thank you very much.
Every one of them. Every one of them.